So this video is a little bit more political. It's kind of on politics, kind of in the West, but some of this would apply like elsewhere too. Um, I want to say something kind of to the right and to the left. Um, a lot of people hate Trump, and I personally don't. I don't think he's the best, the greatest, possibly in the history of the world. No, I don't think that. But like, he might have been the best that we had to pick from. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the primaries was better than Trump, but like, that's who we got to pick from. He was certainly better than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. And if the left's got a problem, I mean, I think what the problem that the left needs to look at is not so much that Trump sucks, fuck Trump, all this shit. It's more about why they couldn't put nobody up better than Trump up to the election. And it's like a real crisis, I think, that the West is facing in general. And really, I mean, it applies elsewhere too, but, in the West we do more elections like that. But the type of people that step up to power, like to obtain power, they actually go and run for an election. It seems like you get a lot of types of people that sort of want power or status. Maybe they just want to be better than everybody else because they're not. And it's not everyone. I genuinely do believe Donald Trump thinks he thought he was saving America a little bit. And, like, it's true, it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. It's still not good enough, in my opinion. But I think something that people might not think about is that when you get a society that is more corrupt on average or more incompetent on average, odds are stronger that you end up with someone more corrupt or incompetent in a position of power. And not just politics either, not just the government, but corrupt cops, judges, anything in the system. It's like when you got more shitty people to pick from, odds are more that you're going to get some shitty people in pretty much any position. And so in a way, this kind of reflects on the societies that these governments, these politicians came from. You know what I mean? And in a way, and this is not good for everyone, and bad leaders can take good people down with them. But in some capacity, it's almost like natural selection, but like a natural justice kind of thing. If that's the kind of people that come out of that population, if that's who they let get so far in the world, and there's enough people to vote for them and everything, to put them in power, and they wreck your economy, and they let in a bunch of foreigners, and they tax the shit out of people, and just crush the middle class and all those things. It's kind of like, it's like a little bit like natural selection, in a way. And I know, and I wonder if some of the people that seem to rule, when they get power, they seem to rule just with spite. Like, they're just gonna mess shit up, because fuck you for being better than me. You ain't better than everybody, but screw you. That kind of shit. Because people like that. And when you get enough of them on average, odds are you're gonna end up with some of them more on average. And I wonder if they understood that it wasn't all bad. I wonder if they'd stop. Honestly. But, like, at the same time, I want to tell people, even on that side, like, your chances, if you wasn't good enough to do right yourself, your best chances for a future, for a stake in a species or a civilization that went on for very long and had much of a chance, your chances were probably better than you. And it probably has something to do with you staying out of their way, or getting them in a higher position to run things better. And when it comes down to it, like, doing the right thing to do is not just a stupid opinion. It's like science. It works that way. You had to do the right thing to do. It's like if you're mixing chemicals, you got to do it the right way, or it's going to turn out something completely different than what you was going for. Well, if you wanted a strong economy and military and good tech and a good edge in the world, and all your green, hippie, liberal, but which I like some of those regulations. Well, not the regulations themselves, but like the point, the green, eco-friendly regulations that was supposed to save the planet. They did it wrong. So that's like another example, I guess. I think this would be a good example. You got to do the right thing to do. If you put in a bunch of green, eco-friendly regulations that cripple industry, and the industry just leaves and goes to some other country, then it's really not your business to regulate anymore. So it kind of renders all those regulations kind of null. So like, even with good intentions, which I don't think everybody's intentions are good, they get into government. I think a lot of it, they just want to be a bitch. They want to be a vicious bitch. Yeah, anybody that's better than them. Anybody that may be going to heaven, because they're not. I think that's what part of the shit is. And that might be more common in like the so-called post-Christian societies. There's like a post-Christian problem. These people that they still believe they're going to hell, but they're like a bitch at God and everything, which is better and right and holy, which is like a dangerous trap for you or your country to fall in. It's like a bitch trap, because it's like if you do everything the opposite of what the Bible said out of spite, you need to understand the Bible said to do a lot of shit right. So you're going to do a lot of shit wrong. Just out of spite, just be a bitch. I guess that's a separate video in and of itself, but I'm getting off track here anyway. Point is, when you get so-and-so on average, you got greater chances of getting so-and-so in any position, including government. But in democratic societies, it's like you can run for an election if you want to. So what you get is people that want to. And there's different reasons people want to. And it might not be an even ratio between people that just want power and status and more for themselves and they want to be a dominating bitch, and then the people that want to take power so they can save their country and bring it to justice and glory and do the right thing for it. Like, the ratio, I think, unfortunately, I don't know. See, I'm afraid there's more people that just want power. They just want more for themselves. Kind of an ego trip. Than there are that actually want to step up for the selfless reasons, even if it's not totally selfless. I just feel like there's more. I don't know, maybe not. But anyway. What was I gonna say? There's other stuff I was gonna say. Something about. Let me light a cigarette. Something about, the left. The left not putting anybody worth a shit up there to vote for. Y'all need to do better with that. And honestly, if you had, even if you lose, you need to understand, it raises the bar a little bit. If you think Trump is shit, which let's just assume he is. Let's assume Trump is shit and you're right. And it's really not easy to tell for what it's worth sometimes. But let's assume you're right. If you had better than what you had out there on the Democrat side of things running for these elections, even if Democrats lost, might have ended up with a better Republican. And, especially if Republicans had better than him too. By some kind of math. Just raises the bar a little bit. Kind of raises the chances of getting a better score. But yeah, I want to make this point, and I say this at risk of a bunch of fucked up losers rushing in just to be a bitch and take an election. But, like I said, when we live in societies where you can run for an election if you want to, if you want someone really good, honestly, I think people that are even close to, say, worthy, good enough, might be humble. They might not think they're good enough. And they might not really technically be. But they might be better than what you're going to get if they don't run. But what you get with this problem is they don't think they should. So we need to get better people to think they should. We need to get people to try. Just to buff up the numbers a little bit. Get something like a better average to pick from. Left and right. And now, with that note, I want to explain some of what I think the difference is in the left and the right anyway. First off, I do believe there are a lot more people that present left wing, specifically to present left wing. They say all this shit they're supposed to say to look left wing. There's a portion of the mobs like that that's afraid of the mobs. There's probably more when you consider on the right wing. It's a lot more Christian conservatives. There's probably a higher percentage on the right wing that honestly believe in the politics they say they do, and probably more on the left, I think, that don't really agree with the shit they say, but they say it because that's what you're supposed to say. Either because they're afraid someone's going to come after them if they don't, kind of, or just because they say the nice thing. They say the nice thing to say. And that's another point. I think, between the left and the right, it seems like a lot of the left-wing politics is like, I believe in the nice thing to say, regardless of having any idea of how that would ever work or not. How you accomplish that, who knows? They ain't done it yet. But like they believe in all the wonderful things you can say the government should do. Whereas on the right wing, it's not so much that. It's more about how to do, but not how to do that. It's more like how to do what we can do. How to do better than we could do. I think that's like part of that. That's one of the things that's different. But see, the left wing sort of couch these opinions that sound good because some much more qualified people, who apparently never run for an election, said it's the right thing to think. Stuff about the environment, I agree. Global warming, not a hoax. It's not exactly like everybody said it was going to be. But it's not like the opposite necessarily neither. Honestly, I think CO2 emissions are less of a problem than the millions of tons of chemicals that they produce every year. That shit adds up. It goes somewhere and it's not outer space. So, it's adding up on Earth. But yeah, abortion, I think, for what it's worth, the act of abortion is a terrible thing. I think you should be against it. I guess I don't necessarily think life is necessarily a right. I do get it that if the fetus is still technically just a clump of cells, or like it's the size of a mouse, it doesn't know it's dying. Necessarily, it doesn't. I don't know how much it feels. As you get on in development, I figure it's more and more. Late-term abortion is, like, scary. It's fucked up. People even do that shit. On the other hand, if somebody's kids are gonna, let's say, nicely drop out of the gene pool, it's the people that would do that shit, then I think it should be. So in a way, it's like, with the pro-choice, pro-life thing, I believe pro-life is right, but not everybody is that good. So frankly, I don't know why you should ban it. Maybe just let it run its course for a few generations. So in a way, that's kind of right. And the green eco-friendly stuff, like I said, I agree with some of that. Like I said, it's like if you kill the business trying to regulate business, and then the business leaves, and then it doesn't matter what your regulations say, that don't work. So it's like, it's an issue of how. But then, like, even on that sort of Darwinian approach, let the bad people kill their kids if somebody's going to. Better than having their kids kill some of your kids, right? I mean, but it's kind of a similar argument with, like, transgenderism and those surgeries and treatments that you could fund it. Like, don't say you can't. They could be government funded. And, And it's a similar argument. It's like, if they would, it's what it is. Nature working itself out. Or, you know what? If they could fund enough research and they really figured it out one day, and they honestly can turn a man into a biological female enough, or vice versa, enough that they could really reproduce that way and say nothing really wrong with the kids any more than would have been anyway, then, like, in a way, it's kind of like the end of the argument for me. It's more about whether you should or not then. But if they could really do it, then whatever. What are you gonna say? Can't say no, they can't anymore. So, and with the kids, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's good. But if something is wrong with the kid, did they want to like turn? And something's wrong with these parents, did they let them, maybe for points or something? In a way, those are not the worst people to let go. You know what I mean? I know it sounds pretty terrible, and it is. It's got all the terrible parts to it. But when you add it all up over generations, there is some promise that it could be for the greater good of a better version of the human race sometime in the future, if we got that long. So, like, in a way, yeah. And I say this as a guy that, like, I sympathize more with the right wing, but some of those left wing opinions. See, I vote more right wing because I don't like so much the people you get on the left. But some of the stuff they say, because they heard it somewhere and they know that's what you're supposed to say, some stuff they say, they support, it does make sense. And even with things as harsh as like abortion and transgender surgeries and shit, it's like I wouldn't want to do that to nobody, but I don't think I would stop it. Because remember, it's like the ones that would are the ones that go away over time in that model. And it does make sense. Nothing else is gonna, like, old school justice used to be, you did something bad, you went to the gallows. Or something. And that shit worked. And, like, people stopped killing fucked up people. Because all this soft, be nice to them, kindness policies. And now there's so many shitty people that honestly, if they rose up all at the same time and went and just decided to kill a bunch of, they could kill like pretty much anyone better than shit if nothing stopped them. So if you're not gonna do one thing to stop them, then you should at least do another thing. And if that other thing is choice laws, pro-choice, and gender-affirming care and all that shit, it's like more than nothing. And I'm not saying that as from a perspective of like hatred, and I want to kill them all. It's like, it's just math, basically. Like, the species gotta do something. Gonna have to be better people. It's gonna need to be better people. If it's gonna make it. Which, I'm a Christian, and then like the Bible says something else happens. But I want to say that stuff mostly kind of to the right wing. Like, think about it. Maybe you should consider a move to the left, especially if you're thinking about really getting involved, because the left-wing talking points are not completely wrong. Even with some of the crazier, well, not really crazy conspiracy theories out there about population reduction and like eating bugs and all this stuff you don't want. I get it, but like, it's math. And to the left, I would say maybe you should consider going to the right a little bit, because it's like I said, it's your politics looks like you just want to stand for the nicest things you can be seen saying, with like no idea how you could ever make that work. And I honestly believe, I mean, when you think about these perfect answers, this perfect world you imagine it should all be, and that's your politics, that's your opinion. It should be perfect. Don't you think everybody else kind of would too? So like, think about it. People on the right wing, from the looks of it, must just wonder about what can we do. Best we can do. Be realistic. We ain't magic. But anyway. So yeah, that's I guess that's about what I got for this point. I guess I'll leave it off with like yeah, I don't want to flood the elections with like the wrong people. Hardly anybody watches my shit anyway. So but yeah, consider, even you, are you better than the shit that runs for office? Would it be better if it was you? Even if you're not good enough. Which you might be right. But see, that's the problem with people that are even close to good enough. They might understand they're really not worthy, not a genius. But like, a lot of them would be better than what we could get. And so somebody gotta make them like step up to it. So think about it. And like, numbers count. Numbers count. Odds and shit. I guess that's all.